भाइयों बहनों, dear friends, ladies and gentlemen, students and scholars, teachers and trainers, professors and professionals, listeners and learners, the most honorable President Prime Minister Narendra Modi ji, respected ministers and doctors, honorable advocates, advertisers, administrators and advisors, reverend fathers and mothers, affectionate sons and daughters. Dear friends, you are listening and watching. I, Dr.RK from USA, heartily cordially welcome all of you. Major characters of the novel that we have studied earlier, The Age of Hardy, Thomas Hardy, who born in the end of the 19th century and went away in 20th century, but he is still being remembered, read, because of his works, because of his actions for the humanity. It is written in all our holy scriptures of this holy land. Humanity is our caste, humanity is our religion. Body is the temple of God, heart is the seat of God. In India and abroad, our scholars, learners, those who are doing research, for a moment you are to think that our nation is known as one of the largest, greatest nation of democratic world. India is the democratic leader, and we are known by our spiritual values, spiritual thoughts, spiritual places, spiritual actions, and even spiritual time. Today on Sunday, we think it is our spiritual time. But according to our holy religions of our holy land, scriptures are evident about the morning time between 2 to 5. How this time is useful for us? Why should we not get up in this time? We get a lot of blessings, grace of Lord from the nature. Indirectly, nature feels pleasuresome in presence of our thoughts and ideas. Let's study, let's know writings of Thomas Hardy, far from the madding crowd. In English literature, we study William Shakespeare, who born in 1564, East India Company in India in 1600. Our India was discovered by Vasco da Gama in 1498, and Shri Guru Nanak Dev Ji Maharaj, first starter of the Sikhism, came on this holy land on 1469. These are the important events of the history that gives us that makes us, helps us in Make in India, provides us the platform to be free from anxieties, frustrations, depressions that we have kept in our mind, in our heart, in our life. We should vanish by the blessings, presence of the words. It can be possible. Anything may be difficult, but that is possible for India. India got victory in the different diseases, physically, mentally, personally, professionally, socially, economically. How we can keep our soul pure. This lesson was broadcasted, advocated, appealed, advised by our one of the recognized, renounced physical figure, Swami Vivekananda, when he went to the USA in 1893 by announcing these words, my brothers and sisters of the America. These words created upheaval in the whole religious conference. So, every youngster today is being inspired, motivated, encouraged in the form of our present Prime Minister Narendra Modi ji. Mahatma Gandhi, who born in 1869. This was the time after the first battle against the English people in 1857. After 1857 up to 1947, these were the 90-year period when India struggled hard. We should remember our free thinkers, freedom fighters, philosophers, economists, sociologists, politicians of that time. That time, under the ruling of such circumstances of exploitation, slavery system, injustices, every class of people, middle class, lower class, higher class, was under the clutches of that royal aristocratic people of the England. They expanded their empire in African and American countries of this world. In 20th century, when there was the First World War from 1914 to 18, Second World War 38 to 45, these were the two greatest battles waged against the humanity. But our India messaged for keeping peace and prosperity on the basis of humanity and rejuvenated the whole nation by providing the true education. Let's go to study such circumstances of the 19th and 20th century period. Bathsheba Everdeen is the charming heroine of the novel, far from the madding crowd. While courting Bathsheba, Sergeant Troy says to her that She is very dangerous for the society. Hundreds of people will like to win her hand, but only one will succeed. Others will either seek shelter in wine or commit suicide. The prophecy of Troy is true. Troy and Boldwood both lose their life for Bathsheba. Troy is murdered by Boldwood and the latter is sentenced for death. This may give us an idea of Bathsheba's captivating personality. Her beauty, like all other heroines of Hardy's novel, Bathsheba is an executively beautiful lady. It is on account of her beauty that Oak falls in love with her almost at first sight. It is again her appealing physique that farmer Boldwood, who does not give any importance to any woman, becomes made after her and wants to marry her at all cost. It is again her beauty that makes Troy oblivious of her former beloved Fanny Robin and he marries Bathsheba. Hardy describes her beauty in these words. She seemed tall, but the pale was the small one, and the hedge diminutive, hence making allowance for error. By comparison with these, we could have been not above the height to be chosen by women as best. All features of consequence were sphere and regular, from the contours of her figure in her upper part. She must have had a beautiful neck and shoulders, but since her infancy nobody had ever seen them. Yet she was not a shy girl by any means. Her passionate nature, a close perusal of Bathsheba's character, will clearly reveal that she is a very passionate woman. Cyril Eldred writes about her passionate nature in these words. Like most of Hardy's great character, however, she is fundamentally a passionate creature, and the essential woman is seen in her when she demands of Troy the attention he is given to the corpse of Fanny. With a morbid dread of being thought a gushing girl, this guileless woman, too well concealed under a planner of carelessness, the warm depth of her own emotions. She lacks the proper guidance, and this leads to indecision. And there is significance in her statement that she wants. Sometimes her external forces eventually sober her high spirit nature, and then her resolution becomes the dominant part of her nature. At this point, we may agree with Hardy that she is of the stuff of which great men's mothers are made. It is clear from the beginning that Bathsheba makes a pity to her beauty to everyone that comes into her contact. Bathsheba is flirtatious and fickle-minded in love. She wants everyone to praise and admire her beauty. She falls a victim to Troy's flattery because he showers high praise on her beauty. She does not like Boldwood because he never praises her beauty. Though he loves her passionately, She feels offended when Hawk once tells her that he is no longer interested in her. Bathsheba in the role of a farmer. Bathsheba's uncle was a rich farmer. On the sudden death of her uncle, she inherited his property and farms. She takes good care of her farms and sheep. She decides to be a complete farmer. As a farmer at her farm, Bathsheba is very hard worker. She supervises almost all the activities of her farm. She keeps her servants under her control. She herself goes to the Saturday corn market for the transaction of business. At night she moves round her prosperity from her property to see that everything was all right. When she finds Pennywise stealing wheat and barley from the granary, she dismisses him at the spot. The maid servants are affectionately dealt with. Her fearlessness. Many critics are of the view that Bathsheba is flirt and faithless. It is she who kindles the fire of love in Boldwood's heart by sending him a Valentine card, marry me. But when he begins to love her and proposes marriage, she rejects his proposal. Then Troy appears on the scene. She is attracted by his refined manners and wishes, in spite of the warning of Oak not to develop intimacy with him. She marries him secretly at Bath. Gabriel Oak and other servants came to know of their marriage when they returned to Weatherbury after a week. All these shifting acts of Bathsheba gives All these shifting acts of Bathsheba give the impression that she was flirt and faithless woman. But this view is not correct. The truth is that she is in the grip of the instinct of love. She is a woman of whimsical nature. She wants to be loved and admired by the man of her own choice. That is why she does not stick to one lover. She suffers greatly for her faults ultimately. She has to marry Gabriel after the death of Troy and the imprisonment of Boldwood. The opinion of Duffin on the character of Bathsheba is worth quoting. Here is Bathsheba, a sane, strong, successful woman. In her ways comes Troy, whom any man knows to be a dirty scoundrel. The moment he sets eyes on him, she is at once attracted, and with little difficulty wooed and won. The explanation lies in the personal attitude that a woman generally takes on question of ethics. The man's behavior is obviously offensive, but it apparently proceeds from admiration of Bathsheba's person. Therefore, it is praiseworthy. He gives evidence of no solid qualities, makes indeed little attempt to hide qualities of a very different order. But women are capable of the most astonishing errors in the judging of men, so although Oak and Boldwood want in silent greatness, this tinsel and it is as distressing a picture of folly as one may well desire. The most distressing thing about it is that the picture is absolutely true to life. Never was the ruthless ferocity of Hardy's character drawing made more plainly manifest. A kind of a kind-hearted woman. Bathsheba is a kind-hearted woman, and she also has a sense of justice and she makes enquiries about Fanny. When her disappearance was detected, she makes arrangements to bring her dead body from Castries when her death is reported. She does not agree to the idea that Boldwood should bear the expense of Fanny's burial, because Fanny was her maid servant at the time of her death. So it was her duty to give her a nice burial. Next, he gives some extra money to each of her servants when she distributes their salary for the first time. These acts of Bathsheba shows her kind-heartedness and generosity, her patience and courage. Bathsheba is a woman of great patience and courage. She shows great patience and courage when Shoaib, her husband, is shot dead by Boldwood. She does not exhibit the least weakness. She brings his dead body to her home and dresses him in grave clothes without any assistance of any of her servants. This does not mean that she was not sad at the death of her husband, for when so many people arrive, she fails to control herself and faints. In conclusion of this one, we can say the character of Bathsheba Everdeen has been drawn nicely. She is the main attraction in the novel. She is one of the most enigmatic of Hardy's heroines. The story of Far from the Madding Crowd is her story, and once we have started reading it, our interest in this vain, proud, impetuous, attractive young woman is aroused and is kept up as we follow her fortunes through the pages of the book. Next character that we study in Thomas Hardy's novel Far from the Madding Crowd, that is Boldwood represents those lovers who, in spite of their virtues and rich, fail to win the heart of the lady they love most because fate does not favor them. Boldwood represents those lovers who, in spite of their virtues and rich, fail heart of the lady they love most because fate does not favor them. Boldwood loves Bathsheba Everdeen sincerely, and he possesses all the qualities that a woman wishes to see in her husband. Yet Bathsheba does not respond to his love, and he, instead of winning the heart of Bathsheba, gets the imprisonment for life. His personal appearance. Farmer Boldwood is a middle-aged bachelor. He is handsome, dignified, and has many features. He is a rich farmer of Weatherbury. He is a simple and straightforward farmer. There is a unique and special quality in him. He does not take interest in women. He remains bachelor throughout his life, but he is a warm-hearted man. He is not particular about his dress. He is regarded highly for his qualities. He is an influential man of Weatherbury. His peculiar quality, there is a peculiar quality in him. He is not interested in women. He does not care for them. Many women tried to marry him, but remained unsuccessful. In the beginning, he is quite careless about Bathsheba. Mrs. Cogan describes this quality of Boldwood in these words: Never was such a hopeless man for a woman. He has been courted by sixes and sevens. All the girls, gentle and simple, for miles around have tried him. Zen Parkins worked at him for 2 months like a slave, and the two Miss Taylor spent a year upon him, and he cost farmer, I have bought her night of tears and 20 pounds worth of new clothes, but Lord, the money might as well we have been thrown out of the window. His love of Bathsheba. Bollywood's indifference towards women seems to be superficial. It seems that he has been waiting for the right type of woman. As soon as he gets the Valentine card of Bathsheba, on which was printed "Marry me," he becomes literally made for Bathsheba. This card arouses the passion of love in Bollywood's heart. It disturbs the equilibrium of his life and spells his ruin. Bollywood's love of Bathsheba is now cheap or ephemeral. He loves her sincerely. His love is pure and enduring. It is a fact that after falling in love with Bathsheba, he thinks only of Bathsheba. He comes to propose marriage with that he will always be devoted to her, but Bathsheba rejects. This breaks his heart and shatters his dream. His life is changed. He is completely disappointed and does not take any interest in his farming. On the stormy night when Gabriel Hook works hard to save Bathsheba's crop from being ruined by him at home, Bollywood does not make any effort to protect his wheat and barley and thus suffers a heavy loss. When he comes to know Bathsheba's affair with Troy, he first tries to destroy it. He first tries to dissuade Troy from marrying Bathsheba. But when he realizes that it is Bathsheba who is more in love with Troy than Troy is in love with Bathsheba, he requests him to marry Bathsheba. Bollywood's love of Bathsheba is so intense that he does not cease to love Bathsheba even after she marries Troy. Bollywood remains upset thinking that he could not marry Bathsheba. His life is quite disturbed. Luck attacks another turn. Bollywood's hopes are revived when he hears the news of Troy's running. He again makes efforts to win her favor and tries to seek assurance from her that she will consider his case in case she decides to marry her for the second time. He is ready to wait for 7 years if Bathsheba agrees to marry him. Bathsheba is influenced by the sincerity of his love and at last gives her consent to become his bride after 7 years of Troy's disappearance. But his hopes are again frustrated when Troy appears on the scene on the very day when Bollywood presents a ring to Bathsheba as a token of his love for her. Troy forces Bathsheba to take her with him. Bathsheba cries in pain. This is too much for Bollywood. He loses his temper, Troy in the chest, who dies in the spot. Thus, instead of sharing the wedlock with Bathsheba, Bollywood gets the loneliness of the prison cell. Thus, love, the most powerful passion, completely destroys the life of Bollywood. The story of Farmer Bollywood is a story of unmitigated sorrow. He suffered for no fault of his own. Bathsheba's cruel joke of sending him a Valentine spelled his doom. He is marked out to receive a holy, unjust, and undeserved punishment. Ultimately, it can be said about him that a close study of Bollywood's character reveals a streak of insanity in him. He is somewhat abnormal. First, he is indifferent to women, then he is made after Bathsheba, and finally, he commits the crime of shooting Troy as a lover. He is a total failure. He does not know that a woman wants to be praised and admired. He loves Bathsheba, but he never praises her beauty. He is really an unfortunate man. He wins our sympathies. Next is Gabriel Oak, hero of the novel. Gabriel Oak is the hero of the novel. Oak possesses a good number of qualities which the hero of a novel should possess. Like other heroes, Oak has his final victory in love. His physical features. Gabriel Oak has been introduced as a bachelor of 28 years. He has an attractive body. He wears a low-crowned felt hat and a long coat. He is a rough diamond without polish, generous and selfless attitude. Oak is generous and selfless in his attitude. He is generous to Bathsheba, although Bathsheba has rejected his love. The milk of human kindness flows from his heart. Even Oak would acknowledge his tenderness, his simplicity and frankness. He is simple but frank in his dealings. He knows nothing about polished language. He is a rough diamond. His balance of mind. Gabriel Oak does not lose his balance of mind. Even when his love is rejected by Bathsheba. He gives good and reasonable advice to others. A man of dignity and patience. Oak never resorts to mean acts. He gives patience in his love towards Bathsheba. He is not an emotional man, a man of self-respect. Oak is a man of self-respect. Once Bathsheba quarrels with him and sends him away, Oak at once leaves the place. He is, however, called back under dire necessity by Bathsheba. A calm and sincere lover, Oak begins to love Bathsheba at first sight. He is calm and sincere in his love with Bathsheba. He does not make a show of his love. Once he sets his heart on Bathsheba, no other girl comes to his mind. Once his love is rejected, he decides never to propose to her. An efficient worker. Oak is an efficient worker. He knows his business as a farmer and a shepherd best. He cures Bathsheba's sheep. He puts out fire in the farm of Bathsheba. Note the list of his assets in his rural understanding of time and his ability to wait. His love for music and nature. Gabriel Oak has great love for music and nature. He looks at the stars and feels delight to see them. His weakness, Gabriel Oak has many weaknesses in his character. He lacks the self-confidence in love. He suffers for want of grace and luster. On account of his weaknesses, he works and suffers. Central figure. Orc is the most significant character in the novel. He possesses heroic simplicity and integrity. He is not a man of false show. He is simple but maintains his dignity and respect. He is a central figure in the novel. Ronald Bly says Hardy's picture of the classic rural time scale in which he makes the temporal chime with the eternal is at the most glorious in Far from the Madding Crowd. He creates, it found the central figure of the true pastoral, that of the faithful shepherd. Gabriel Oak may rise to a farming tendency, that to being the master of man and ultimately to being the consort of the local goddess. But never for a moment can he escape his role as bellwether to the village folk. He is the unconscious leader. He stands in the novel in simple but somewhat overpowering moral and physical dimensions, like a shepherd in a black painting, glowing and archetypal. It's never ponderous, and Hardy even goes so far as to bring him down to Dorset earthiness by revealing the sort of limitations which would make Bathsheba justified in looking around for a better match. Gabriel says, stolidly within the parish limitations. It is therefore that he shines. It is there that he presides over such unwearied scene as the sheep washing, the shearing, the stake yard, and all the inescapable set pieces of farming, toil and skill, risk and salvation, profit and loss. Hardy allows inferior dramas to intrude upon these sacred agrarian moments, distracting courtships and fastings that are irrelevant to their higher celebrations, and then uses Gabriel Oak, his good shepherd, as an indicator by which we can steer our way into faming's center of gravity. The richest instance of this is given can be read. Our next character is Sergeant Troy. Sergeant Troy is depicted as an irresponsible young soldier who spoils his me by his irresponsible behavior, first towards Fanny and then towards Bathsheba Everdeen. Both women loved him passionately. He was the illegitimate son of Lord Chevron from a French governess. Thus he had an aristocrat's blood in his veins, of which he was so proud. He got his early education in Casterbridge Grammar School, where he acquired a good knowledge of many languages. Circumstances forced him to give up his education. He became a lawyer's clerk. Then he left this, joined the army as an ordinary soldier, but soon rose to the rank of a sergeant. Troy has a handsome and charming personality and winning manners, high glitter and polished speech, and manners attract the fair sex wherever he goes. He is a fine conversationalist. He is very lively and delicate in his talks with women. Bathsheba pays a tribute to his fine manner of talking when he says If you can only fight half as willingly as you can talk, you are able to make a pleasure for a bayonet, bayonet's word. He has extraordinary skill in flattering women. He has a wonderful understanding of their psychology. He knows how and when to praise women. He succeeds in capturing the heart of Fanny Robin. It is benign his art of flattery that he entices the heart of the rich and beautiful lady, Bathsheba Everdeen. He calls her the queen of the corn market. He is loud in his praise of Bathsheba's beauty. He says to her, I said you were beautiful, and I will say to still, for so you are, the most beautiful ever I saw, or may I fall dead this instant. He is expert in captivating young women. He says that there are only two ways of winning a woman: flattery or curse. Treat them fairly, and you are a lost man, he says. He is moderately truthful towards men, but towards women he lies most easily. He is a man of impulse and not reason. In his ick, he is guided by impulse and passion. The remorse he feels on seeing Fanny's dead body is the result of pure passion. He ruins his present and future happiness due to his passionate outburst and sudden decisions. His love for Bathsheba is not based on true feelings of love for her. It is mere passion and attraction for her physical charm and money. There is no sincerity in his love for Bathsheba. He makes this very plain when he sees Fanny Robin's dead body. His attitude towards Bathsheba becomes very clear when she utters these words. If Satan had not tempted me with that face of yours and those cursed cookeries, I should have married her. You are nothing to me. A ceremony before a priest doesn't make a marriage. I am not morally yours. His love, in spite of all his carelessness, was true and real. He showers attraction and honor on her after her death and repents for her responsible behavior. He is a drunkard and gambler, and he shows these weak traits of his character soon after his marriage with Bathsheba. He has a spirit for adventurous. It is because of this trait that he leaves Bathsheba's house after Fanny's tragedy and wanders in a foreign land, then comes back to England and joins a traveling circus company. For all his faults, he is a man of many different kinds of talents and makes good use of them in time of need. Ronald Blythe comments, Sergeant Troy lacks all understanding of time. He exists in a brilliant immediacy which either dazzles the loose, caught up in the inexorable time patterns of Ashur or Taro, or makes them suspicious of him. He seizes upon Fanny's unpunctuality as an excuse to abandon her at the altar, and his arrival into Bathsheba's life is so instantaneously bright as to overthrow the black country night with the effect of a fairy transformation. Troy was to darkness what the sound of a trumpet is to silence. Dear friends, next character is Fanny Robin. Fanny Robin, like Bathsheba, Aberdeen also falls a victim to the refined and cultured manners and charming personality of Francis Troy. But there is a difference between the two. Bathsheba succeeds in marrying Troy while Fanny is deceived, seduced, stagnated and left alone to suffer by Troy. As an unfortunate character, she may also be compared to Farmer Boldwood, who suffers for no fault of his. But she is more unfortunate than Boldwood, for Boldwood is not poor. Fanny Robin, like Bathsheba Aberdeen, also falls a victim to the refined and cultural manners and charming personality of Francis Troy. But there is a difference between the two. Sheba succeeds in marrying Troy while Fanny is deceived, seduced, stagnated, and left alone to suffer by Troy. As an unfortunate character, she may also be compared to Farmer Boldwood, who suffers for no fault of his. But she is more unfortunate than Boldwood, for Boldwood is not poor, while she is poor, helpless girl. Her physical appearance. Fanny Robin is the youngest maid servant of Bathsheba. She is very beautiful and delicate. She has beautiful golden hair. She is very poor. Her parents died and she became an orphan. She was brought up by Farmer Boldwood. She is very credulous. She suffers alone on account of her simple and credulous nature. Her love of Troy. Fanny Robin loves Troy deeply and she has full faith in him. She is so much in love with Troy and she elopes from Bathsheba's house. She is so credulous that she takes Troy's love of her to be true and sincere and lets him seduce her. She is pregnant by him. Her love of Troy gives her the strength to bear sufferings and hardships, and she walks to Troy's barrack on a snowy night. This shows the power of passion in the heart of Fanny, a victim of fate. Fanny is marked out for tragedy and suffering ever since she saw the light of day. Troy is in love with her. Of her happiness, Troy shifts her loyalty to Bathsheba, and poor Fanny is left alone. Troy promises to marry her, but by mistake she reaches the wrong church of the similar names, and thus her marriage with Troy is not solemnized. She meets Troy. She is in such a miserable condition as Bathsheba does not recognize her. But Troy recognizes her and promises to meet her after 2 days and assures her of his help. Poor Fanny reaches there, but she dies before Troy comes to her rescue. And leading to the tawdry agony of her appearance at the wrong church, of her tremulous quest in the snow, of her long trust in the final heroes of pregnancy, to the Cambridge Union House there to die with Troy's illegitimate child. There is a long chain of misery and misfortune of poor Fanny. Her fatal journey, Fanny undergoes unbearable sufferings. When she undertakes the journey to Cambridge, it is the most pathetic part of her life. She takes the long journey without knowing the fact that her tender body cannot bear it. Fanny is exhausted on the way, but under the passion of she keeps on walking towards Castle Bridge with the help of the crutches of trees, and she plucks from the forest. Out of sheer exhaustion and weakness, she falls on the crowd, and then, with the help of a dog, she reaches Castle Bridge, Union House, where she breathes her last after a few years, and thus Fanny's love for Troy comes to an end. Significance of her role. Fanny's death serves a very prominent, important purpose. Her role is significant. After her death, Troy's true character is exposed. Bathsheba is completely disillusioned with Troy when she comes to know of Troy's illegitimate relationship with Fanny, and thus she leaves the house. In this way, the death of Fanny provides a turning point to the story. Thus, her role is tragic and is significant for the development of the story. Fanny Robin is a memorable character on account of her simplicity, beauty, innocence, and most of all, for her undeserved tragedy. Her role is brief, but her impression is favorable and lasting. Dear friends, may God bless all of you for listening the truth of language, literature, and grammar. Nice to see you. Have a nice day, nice time, nice place. May God bless all of us. Thank you, thank you, thank you.